Hello, this is Future, and I'm here to bring you Dreamhack Valencia 2012 game number 2. Sorry for the wait, guys. It's going to be between LiquidTaeja and ForGG in the finals of the best of 5 series. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in, introduce these players. Although I will say, if you haven't seen game number 1, I did release it, a couple of days ago. So please go ahead and click the annotation below to go ahead and check that one out first. But if you're still around, we're going to go ahead and jump in and introduce the players. Spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of Ohana, we have the blue Terran player representing Team Liquid. It is going to be LiquidTaeja. Taeja currently down 0-1 in this best of 5 series. He is in the finals. He needs to make some kind of comeback, but he is not down and out just quite yet. So we're going to have to wait and see what he's going to be planning to do in this TVT against his opponent. Spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner as the red Terran player is going to be representing Team Millennium. It is going to be MilleniumForGG. He's a strong, aggressive Terran player, currently up 1-0, and we even see he's just showing that aggression even in this game as we see him going for that gas geyser. We're going to have to wait and see what kind of aggression he has planned in this game. I just can't wait. But at the same time, we do have Taeja going for a slightly later gas geyser, so it looks like neither of these players are really deciding to go for that 1 Rax expansion likely. We even see this little SCV. Oh, actually this SCV, doing a really nice job, making sure just to scout around and say like, hey, I don't want to deal with any kind of proxy barrack shenanigans or any of that. This is the finals. None of that's going to happen to me. So he goes ahead and does a little bit of extra scouting around his natural expansion. So a really nice play from Taeja. And ForGG actually opting not to scout at all. Now this is a really interesting decision. But he might just feel safe saying, hey, you know what? My build is safe against whatever you're going to do. So why should I even waste some of my precious mining time on one of my SCVs going ahead and trying to scout? So I kind of like that decision at the same time, as well as long as he has actually mapped out this boulder, which I'm sure he has. And there we actually see a factory plopping down from ForGG. So really interested to see what he's planning on doing, as he does actually have that gas geyser mining gas for quite a while now. And actually after maybe 1 or 2 Marines, he might actually just plop down a reactor or something of the sort. Really would like to see it. And there we actually see a tech lab going down. It's kind of interesting. Might actually be seeing a Marauder Hellion timing push from ForGG. But Taeja does have a pretty decent idea. He saw the factory going down. He saw that there was that gas geyser, so he does know it's definitely a possibility. We're going to see how he prepares. It looks like he's throwing down a factory of his own, not throwing down that tech lab though. It's kind of interesting to see what Taeja is planning to do, as well as we actually see 2 gas geysers out. We might actually be seeing some Banshee play out of LiquidTaeja, as saving up that gas for that starport, as well as eventually going to be getting that. Oh, there we see actually that starport, and I'm probably going to be seeing a tech lab going down right over here just so we can get out that Banshee tech. That's going to do relatively well against ForGG's build, as long as he can defend against ForGG long enough to actually get out that there Banshee. As the Banshee, it's going to go uncontested against this push. He's going to be able to do so much damage to Hellions and Marauders that neither of those attack upward, actually. But actually, we do see just Hellions being taken out, and actually Blue Flame being researched. We see a starport going down, the barracks lifting up and landing just slightly lower, I guess, on the ground. Not too sure what the point of that one was, but I guess he does have everything nice and symmetrical, if it makes you feel better, I suppose. But behind all this, we do see ForGG actually going for that command center. We see the reactor going down for ForGG. So it looks like it's just going to be Marine production. So kind of interesting. We might just see a Marine Hellion push then in the future. But, given this expansion, I feel like he's going to be in the more defensive stance, while Taeja is going to have to do some damage. Seeing that he does not have that expansion going down, you can even see in the worker count, they're relatively even. Only a 1 worker lead for ForGG, but at the same time, you have to realize that Taeja has invested so heavily in this Banshee tech. He has to make something happen, even going for the cloak, and no expansion in sight right now, so he is definitely going to have to do a substantial amount of damage to really be able to come out okay from this build order choice. Now we do actually see the factory swapping back over to the reactor, so they're going to continue to produce additional Hellions, and meanwhile using these Hellions, I guess, just to control the front, to stop Taeja from being able to scout out with an SCV or something of the sort. Now we do actually see the Banshee making its way across the map. We're going to see how much damage it can do, as you know, I'm actually not too sure if 4GG is going to be prepared for this. We see quite a few Hellions out, but really there's only one Marine out for 4GG. Or sorry, yeah, just one Marine out. And with this Banshee coming out, there's no engineering bay. There is actually a Raven on the way, but there is a Viking. Thank God for 4GG. He has mapped out this build quite well. He's actually going to be able to fend off this Banshee, but the Banshee actually making it out without taking any damage. But still, at the same time, as I was saying before, Taeja has to do damage with this. He can't just, you know, go in there and try and, you know, immediately back off, as, you know, his opponent has this natural expansion already mining. Taeja's just starting that natural expansion, and now we do see that Raven and that Viking combination being able to fend off Taeja, and he is in a world of trouble now, as, you know, he's possibly going to end up losing this Banshee if... No, actually, it looks like he does not opt to drop down one of those scans, as, you know, he does have enough energy for that scan, but doesn't want to waste it right now. He could have actually killed that in combination with that Viking. And here we actually see a lot of Hellions actually making their way into Taeja's main base, and wow, this is going to go completely uncontested. There is a single Banshee over here to try and pick off some of these Hellions, but look at all those SCVs. Taeja actually doing a good job, even though it looks like they're all lined up. You know, he's doing a relatively good job, keep them all split off, and there we do see only 5 workers killed, considering so many of those Blue Flame Hellions made it into the main. That's actually a surprisingly low number, but I mean, at the same time, Taeja lost all of his Marines. He's going to be in such a defensive stance. He can't really do a whole lot of damage with this Banshee, knowing that there is that Raven Viking combination out on the map. There are so many Hellions out for 4GG, and Taeja really just far behind in that. He even opted to get a Raven, but I mean, Taeja is down in army supply, he's down in worker supply, he's delayed on his expansion, and oh man, here we come again. 4GG putting on a huge amount of aggression again with all of these Hellions, able to take out quite a few of Taeja's, but you know, this Banshee is going to become very useful. That's the one thing he has, I guess, in a defensive stance, but I mean, oh man, it's going to be so rough, as that Banshee, again, it can't be aggressive. It can only be a defensive Banshee. You know, oh man, actually, oh, okay, never mind. I thought 4GG was getting ready to take that third expansion. You know, at this point, what could Taeja do if 4GG decided to take a third expansion? I don't think there's really a whole lot of point at this exact point in time, as, you know, he can pretty much just mass up an army and go stop Taeja from being any greedy in any way whatsoever. But we do actually see siege tank count starting for LiquidTaeja, and you know, he needs to research that siege mode as well, as especially with 4GG's very scary army. He's going to be building up, and he needs some kind of answer to the army that 4GG is cranking out, as 4GG is cranking out 2 siege tanks at a time, with siege mode going to be on the way in just a second. There it actually starts, and here we actually see just a supply depot being taken out, but with additional Hellions being produced, and even additional Vikings just say, hey, you know what, you want to have even a slimmest chance at air control, you know, just to get that Banshee out to make him more useful. Nope, you're not going to have it. I am not going to allow you to. And that is just fabulous play from 4GG, and honestly, I think Taeja is going to be in a world of trouble in just a couple of minutes, as we see that 4GG is going to start to push out just a little bit, seize a little bit of that map control, shut down Taeja's vision, so that he won't know exactly when that entire army is pushing out. We do see the Viking Raven Cloud is moving out as well, and here we see the Hellions leading the charge. Taeja should have an idea about this push coming out, but you know, he doesn't know the entirety of everything that's about to make its way over to his front door. Now we do have one siege tank out, a second one popping out just now, and you know, they are both sieged up in a very nice position. This siege tank very far back, and it's going to be very difficult for 4GG to actually get into a position to attack that. But look at this, 4GG actually just using that superior air control, sieging up his siege tanks on the low ground. I'm going to see how much damage he can do. Does end up taking quite a few shots from actually Taeja's siege tank, but Taeja's siege tank is going to go down as, oh my god, actually 4GG's siege tank also goes down as well to Taeja's Viking count. but we do end up seeing that, you know, with this one final siege tank, he's going to be able to siege up right on top of all those unit-producing structures, going to be able to take out the reactor on that factory. It's going to slow down the Hellion production, as well as he might actually even be able to reach that tech lab and stop the tank production, and that's going to actually be huge for Taeja, as you know, he really needs those siege tanks out right now. He needs to be able to somehow put on some kind of counter aggression to this very, very aggressive stance from 4GG. Now we do end up seeing, yes, that tech lab is under fire. There it goes down. Now Taeja unable to produce siege tanks, even under fire in his main base with these siege tanks, having to re-siege. He might actually end up losing that siege tank. No, just barely keeps it alive. And oh man, this is looking so grim. And look at this, the Viking count even basically just stopping any kind of air production from Taeja, even stopping the buildings from lifting off. And oh man, I feel like Taeja is going out to GG very soon, as the Hellion count is even in favor of 4GG. He could honestly pretty soon probably just waltz right in over here, kill off all of these over here Hellions, and even potentially snipe off one of those siege tanks, walk over to the middle line. And meanwhile, what can Taeja do? He basically really just doesn't have anything. He does actually have this Banshee back over at 4GG's main base, trying to take out some of those SCVs, but I mean, it's not going to be really too effective, as we can even see. Wow, actually a Banshee on the way for 4GG, not even opting to deal with it, not even making a Viking, so kind of interesting. But you know, I guess when you're this far ahead, you can all afford to do this, as we even see 4GG gearing up to do a couple of more inches forward with those siege tanks. And once again, what can Taeja do at this point? 4 siege tanks left, over to the 6 siege tanks left over for 4GG. Now, we don't actually have upgrades on either of these siege tanks, as all of this has happened so early on. Here we see 4GG moving up with a couple of those siege tanks, going to be able to do a lot of damage, but you know, he does end up losing 2 of those siege tanks, might even end up losing that 3rd siege tank, but barely ends up losing that. But I guess that siege tank back in the back for LiquidTaeja would have been able to clean that up anyways. And here we see it looks like that Banshee did end up getting cleaned up by 4GG, so really well played. A nice defense, I guess. All he really needed was a single Viking to actually deal with that, and you know, he's going to be sitting in a very nice position as all these Vikings once again come over here. I feel like at this point he could honestly just land and just move in with land all the Vikings on top of the siege tanks and just move in with all of his Hellions. And here we do end up seeing this Banshee with that supreme air control is going to be able to do some nice picking off damage to all these siege tanks. And oh my god, here we see the Hellions starting to move in, and here we see the Vikings trying to land for Taeja, but it's not going to be enough. And here, once again, the siege tanks raining down fire on top of all of the units of LiquidTaeja. The Vikings landing for 4GG and even be able to take out all those SCVs. The Hellions going to be raking in all those SCVs kills. Not that it'll even matter at this point, as we actually see, even though Taeja was able to kill off a substantial number of workers, 4GG reclaiming that lead, taking out all of those units over at that natural expansion. And we can even see over here that, you know, Taeja's trying to do a little bit of damage, landing 2 Vikings in the middle line of 4GG, but I mean, to one end, it's not like he can even compete economically at this point. Even having to pull those SCVs, pulling SCVs against Hellions, not exactly the most favorable engagement for Taeja. And I would be expecting a GG very soon from Taeja, but there we actually see the GG, so well played by both these players. But 4GG up 2-0 in this best of 5 series. He only needs to win 1 more game, and Taeja is going to be sitting in a world of trouble now. We're going to see in game number 3 who's going to be able to take this best of 5 series. Is it going to be Liquid's Taeja, one of the strongest Terrans and arguably one of the best Terrans in the world right now, or is it going to be Millennium's 4GG, another strong Terran? And yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. I will see you guys in game number 3.